Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat 3 Career Mode. Today we go to Texas in the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series, the second race of the round of 8 in the playoffs, the middle race. And this is not a track that I usually do the greatest at. I've had some bad luck here in previous races, so I was coming into here not very excited, just trying to survive. And the same thing for Hailie Deegan in the Xfinity race. Not a great effort for her. She started in the about the 10th position. Coming down the back straightaway on the first lap, Ty Dillon was in the lead at this point as she went down into turns 3. Hailie is currently in the round of 4 as it stood coming into this race now, as she would come up to about the 8th position, fighting for 7th, about the midway point in this race, as she would take that 7th position away and try to battle up to the 6th spot over Tyler Reddick, but she couldn't quite step it up at this point in the race. But by the time we came to the final lap, she did at least battle for the 6th position, but she would get up towards the wall and make contact with another car and hit the wall down the back straightaway, and that would completely destroy her finishing position, at least by a few positions. She would drop back down to the 9th spot, hanging on for dear life to keep Ty Dillon behind her to at least hang on to that 9th spot so she doesn't lose any more points, and she would come across the line and finish 9th. But this would be a big hit in the points for us. A 9th place finish doesn't sound bad, but it certainly was not what we needed, as you're about to see the point standings on your screen. So unfortunately, Hailie just could not quite bring home a better finish, and now she is 4 points out of the final 4 going into ISM Raceway. So she needs to beat Daniel Hemrick by 5 positions to guarantee your spot in, but if she ties with him, I believe she will win the tiebreaker. So at least beat him by 4 spots is the goal going into ISM Raceway, and maybe she can win. That'll be even better. But now as we focus in on the Cup race, Texas, like I said, a track that I struggle at, just like Kansas. I just really struggle at both of those mile-and-a-halves, and unfortunately they just happen to be later in the playoffs for myself. And as we come down through turns 3 and 4 of my qualifying lap, you see we made it to the second session of qualifying as we come out of turn 4 through the trial. We're coming towards the line, actually getting into the grass a little bit, but we would hit a 29.179, and we will qualify and start P14 in Texas. So let's see what we can do here from the 14th starting position.
Today, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series thunders back to Texas at Texas Motor Speedway for the running of the AAA Texas 500. They say everything's bigger in Texas. For our remaining playoff contenders, that saying holds especially true as the stakes today don't get any bigger. In 2017, Kevin Harvick punched his ticket to the championship race by way of a thrilling victory here in the Lone Star State. Who will master this 1.5-mile asphalt speedway today? The green flag is in the air, so let's go racing on PRN.
Alright, we are ready to go green here in Texas Motor Speedway. Brad Keselowski and Kyle Larson are on your front row. Kurt Busch, no stranger to starting in the back recently. He failed technical inspection, so he starts in the back today. Brendan Gaughan gave up qualifying position for new tires, so he also will be starting in the back, even though he probably would be back there anyways, as we get ready to go green in Texas. The middle race of the round of 8. The green flag is out as we come through. Kyle Busch last episode had big trouble putting him in to a possible must-win situation if he doesn't have an amazing run today in Texas. Now as we head down into turns 1 and 2, and we are pretty well in on points. I think we're at least 15 to the good right now, but if a driver behind us in points outside of the final 4 but still in the round of 8 wins, it will completely knock us out of the final 4 right now. So we're not really safe. It might look like it, but it's really just virtual. We're virtually safe, but we're not truly safe. Now as we come through turns 3 and 4, Kyle Busch hung out on a 3-wide situation as we look to the inside of Stenhouse as we come across the line to complete the first lap. Just 19 to go in the stage, moving our way into the top 10 early on in this race, up to P8 now, ahead of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the number 17 Fastenal Ford Fusion for Roush Fenway as we come down the back straightaway, closing in on the back of Chase Elliott and Clint Boyer up ahead. And usually I do have a pretty fast car on short runs at this racetrack, but as the long run goes on, we obviously really start to fade, just like every track just about in this game, because of the AI tire wear not really being much of a thing. As we look to the outside of Chase Elliott, to start this third lap as we actually get into the wall a little bit now, and we would fade in behind, and by the time we came to about the halfway point of lap 4, down the back straightaway, still behind the 9 of Elliott, the 14 of Boyer, and Blaney is up there. Now as we come down through turns 3 and 4, Brad Keselowski leads this race, and that's one of the drivers we do not need leading. So if he wins the stage, we're going to be in trouble straight away. Now as we come to about the midway point in stage 1, still behind Elliott, but we have a chance to look to his inside, but he closes the door just in time before I can make the move to his inside. But we come through the trial now, sticking it up the inside of Elliott, trying to take the 7th position away from the 9 cars. We head down into turns 1 and 2, and we would indeed get ahead of Elliott to just about clear him, and we do clear him on the exit of 2 to take the 7th position away. And by the time we came to lap 12, now looking to the inside of Clint Boyer if he leaves the space, and he does leave the space. Now as we get side by side with the 14 of Clint Boyer, but we get a little bit loose and had to give up the position there, so we would fade in behind and actually lose the spot to chase Elliott in the process. And by the time we came to just 2 to go in the stage, still running P8, battling with Elliott, Boyer, and even Blaney up there now as we are approaching the white flag in the stage this time by, as we're just trying to manage to get some points here in the stage, but not a great stage effort for myself so far, but it hopefully will be enough. But Brad Keselowski is likely in position to win the stage, so either way we're in trouble no matter what. Now as we come through the trial, we'll just start the final lap in stage 1, trying to get whatever points we can get. Elliott's going to stay on the inside, so I move up to the top line as we come through turns 1 and 2, making contact with the right rear of Elliott as we come through the center of the corner on the exit of turn 2, now down the back straightaway for the final time in stage 1 as we try to use the drive from Boyer and Blaney up ahead as we head down into turn 3. Elliott on the apron just about now as we come through the center of the corner for the final time in the stage, looking to the outside once again of Elliott as we come out of turn 4, but it's not going to happen. Brad Keselowski wins the stage, and we come through to get the 8th finishing position in the first stage. So 8th isn't that bad, but when Brad Keselowski wins the stage, it is bad, and we're certainly going to be in a hole no matter what now, as Keselowski gets those 10 points, and he's going to be sitting in pretty good position to maybe now be in the final 4. And as we get ready to start the second stage, still in the 8th position like where we finished, the green flag is out. Stage 2 is underway as we make a little bit of contact with Elliott now as we come through to start the line, making even more contact with Elliott as we get close to the bumper of the 12 of Ryan Blaney as we're starting on this outside. Now what I wanted is Kyle Busch gets into my left-hand side and actually shoves me up just a little bit, losing me some momentum that I had, and we would drop down to the 10th position by the time we came to the back straightaway, now falling in behind the 3 of Austin Dillon. We clear Eric Jones, so that allows me to drop down to that inside line as we come through turns 3 and 4, getting into the back bumper of the 3 just a tiny bit. Now as we come through the tri-oval, Blaney and Dillon side by side as we cross the line coming down towards turns 1 as Brad Keselowski continues to lead over our teammate Kyle Larson as I got way out of the groove there going into turns 1, and we would lose a group of positions, falling down to the 17th spot as we came down the back straightaway side by side with Bowman. Menard on his inside in a 3-wide situation as we head down into the corner, but we would fall in line to a 2-wide beside the 21 and the 31 of Menard and Newman as we come through the tri-oval now, crossing the line. Not a good start to the stage, and it gets even worse as we make contact with the 31 and into the wall we go. No caution comes out and we keep it green, but we certainly collected a good bunch of damage now in this race. Certainly a big hit we have just taken out of nowhere, and we're going to have to battle back quickly, because if we can't get stage points here, we're going to be in an even bigger of a hole. And like I said, we've struggled at this track before with some bad luck, and it has hit us again now as we would get into the right front of Casey Kane there as he tapped me in the left rear, but we would come across the line sitting in 20th with only 16 laps to go in the stage. So we do have enough speed in this car. I felt still that we could actually maybe get towards the top 10 if we had enough time, but we're certainly much slower than I was, obviously, than we had before. And by the time we get to the midway point in the stage, we had worked our way up to P15, closing in on the 21 of Paul Menard up ahead, and I believe the 31 possibly of Ryan Newman, or maybe Chris Buescher up ahead of him as we come down the back straightaway, closing in on them. So certainly looking like we might not get stage points at this point. By the time we come to lap 12 and 19 in the stage, we do pass Chris Buescher on the inside now as we come down the back straightaway. He does stay on my outside trying to battle me as we head down into turns 3. And we would clear the 37 of Chris Buescher going in through turns 3 and 4 now as we set our sights on the 21 of Paul Menard as we came through the tri-oval to finish this lap. By the time we came to just 5 to go on the stage, we would still be running in now up in 14th behind 13th place Eric Jones as Menard would continue to actually pull away. But we caught Jones as we have a car blowing up as we head down into turn 3. And it is the 18 of Kyle Busch again as he almost comes down the track and hits me. And that would bring out the caution. Kyle Busch has blown an engine 2 episodes in a row, and this will force him in a must-win situation. He stays out for the restart as we get ready to go green, so immediately we have to jump up to the outside as we make contact. I was not expecting the outside to slow up, but Kyle Busch in a must-win situation no matter what now. Going into ISM Raceways, he stays out after blowing an engine, which makes no sense, and this is the final lap of the stage. It's a 1-lap dash as we try to hang on to stage points. We have lucked ourselves into a stage paying point position now. It's come down the back straightaway for the final time in the stage. Very dramatic end to the second stage as Keselowski continues to lead as Truex gets to my inside as I could not quite keep it on the bottom now as we come through turns 4 on the exit of the corner through the tri-oval. Keselowski wins stage 2 and Kurt Busch edges me out at the line, but we still get at least 1 stage point, which in the long run that could be pretty big as we finish the stage obviously in P10 with Keselowski winning, and Kyle Busch takes another huge hit, guaranteeing himself to be in a must-win situation now. He might have had a small chance of pointing his way in after Martinsville, but now he has to win. And we would come to pit road, and we had a bunch of cars stay out, setting us up for a very interesting third stage. Now as the green flag is back out, we are going in Texas for the final stage. It is a pretty lengthy final stage, and we were in P29 after all these cars stayed out, so we had to really kind of be careful. I wasn't going to try and risk anything stupid like I have in the past when I was in traffic, and sometimes that gets me into incidents. Obviously, if we get into an incident now, that's going to destroy our playoff chances, and they're already now our playoff chances have already been diminished quite a bit due to Keselowski winning the first 2 stages. We're probably not in the final 4 right now in the playoffs, unfortunately, but we might be close. But we're going to have to play it safe here in this final stage, nursing our way through traffic now as we're 3 wide with Kurt Busch through the trial going down into turns 1. We only gain 1 spot on the opening lap in the stage, get up to P28, but if we can just continue to run this bottom line and play it safe, we will likely prevail into maybe the top 15, top 10 hopefully here within a decent amount of time as we head down into turns 3, side by side with the 4 of Harvick. Our teammate Kyle Larson in trouble. Keselowski's right here, so this gives us a chance to actually make some points back. So really maybe all this traffic is a good thing that those cars stayed out as we come across the line through the tri-oval down into turns 1, side by side with the 2 car of Brad Keselowski as he tries to get himself a chance at a second championship now as we come through turns 1 and 2 down the back straightaway now side by side with the 32 of Matt DiBenedetto. We do clear him going into turn 3. Matt DiBenedetto going to the number 95 next season in the 2019 DLC. So his final few races in the 32, just like many drivers are in their final few races with their cars. We're in the final few with our car now as we come across the line, moving into the top 20 now with 36 laps to go as we look to the inside of the number 3 of Austin Dillon as we come through turns 1 and 2, passing him and Corey LaJoie to move up to 18th as we look to the inside of Brendan Gaughan, certainly gaining the positions that we need. And as we head down into turn 3, we pull ahead of the 62 of Gaughan and clear him as well. Larson almost gets to my inside. It's Clint Boyer. He's going to chop my nose just in front of me as we barely keep it off of him as we come out of turn 4, sitting in 17th. And we would get up to P15 with 34 to go, but we kind of got put on the outside line by our teammate Kyle Larson. So this would be a bit of a setback now as Boyer tries to look to my inside, but we chop his nose this time just like he chopped mine a few laps back as we come down the back straightaway on the back bumper of the 17 of Stenhouse, trying this time to get to the bottom line because we're kind of stuck up here on the top, and you don't want to be on the top line in Texas right now. It's certainly working better than what it should, simply because there's so many slow cars around us as we close our way in towards a top 10 position as we head down into turns 1 and 2 as we make contact with the 42 of our teammate Larson, and up the track we go. Just about a big moment once again, as we have had that happen a few times in this race as we would lose a handful of positions, but really not much time as I would slow up to let the 2 clear me and drop down into that inside line, and this would pay off big time as we would move our way into the top 10 on the outside of the 2 and the 55 of Sorensen and Keselowski as we come through turns 3 and 4, approaching 25 laps to go at this time. certainly running out of time in this race. Now as we cross the line side by side with Reed Sorensen as we head into turns 1, Keselowski forces a 3 wide and we get hit in the left rear by Sorensen, and up the track we go. But once again, we make a big save through the center of the corner and only really lose maybe 3 or 4 car lengths of time as we do drop down to the 13th position though as we head down into turns 3 and 4. Now looking to the inside of Reed Sorensen as we come through the center of the corner and exiting through the front straightaway, sitting back in the 12th position as we come through to cross the line with 24 laps to go in this race. So certainly running out of time, but we still have a decent amount of time, and hopefully it stays green so we don't get all grouped up again as we come through turns 1 and 2. Looking to the inside of the 21 of Menard, but we make contact on his left rear and end up not being able to stick alongside. But by the time we came to lap 62, we did get to the inside of Menard and get just about clear of him through turns 1 and 2 as we finally do clear him on the exit of the corner to move back into the top 10, which sounds like a good position, but right now it just really isn't that great. Now as we would pass Austin Dillon and look to the inside of the 51 of Harrison Rhodes, making contact with him as well as we come through down the back straightaway. Certainly a pretty physical race for us, unfortunately, now as we would get up though to the 8th position with just about 20 or so laps to go, just over 20 to go coming to the line, and by the time we came to just 14 laps to go running all by ourselves in the 8th position as we really started falling off. We had a little bit of damage as well from hitting the wall, and the right front tire was starting to go away, so it was really just about hanging on as we would get a caution for another car. It was Danica Patrick who blew an engine, and this would bring us to pit road. We would be able to repair the car, but I would only take 2 right side tires just so we could at least give ourselves a chance, and we would actually lose a couple positions due to the repairs on the car. I felt like we had to make these repairs if we wanted a chance, and we would fall back to P12 on the outside line. So not necessarily what we need, but it's what we had to do. And as we get ready to go green, the green flag is back out. It is just 10 laps to go here in Texas, and immediately we have an opportunity to get down to the bottom line, and I take that opportunity as you see Danica Patrick, who brought out the caution, way back in the background blowing up as we come through turns 1 and 2 behind the 51 of Harrison Rhodes. Jimmy Johnson, the 7-time champ, comes alongside as we exit turn 2. Jimmy Johnson obviously not in a position to battle for the championship this season now as we head down into turns 3 and 4, approaching just 9 laps to go as we still continue to battle alongside the number 48 car as we exit turn 4 on the bumper of the 51 as we try to get to his inside, but unable to do so as we cross the line, trying to find a way on the inside of Harrison Rhodes, but it's just not happening. And now as Martin Truex Jr. is in command at the moment as our teammate Kyle Larson pushes through to move into second, and Brad Keselowski trying to take the 3rd position away as we finally get to the inside of Harrison Rhodes, down the back straightaway, making it 3 wide with him and Johnson as we come through turns 3 and 4, pulling ahead of Rhodes and now moving into P11 behind the 95 of Casey Kane. And as we come across the line, looking at the inside of the 95 as he leaves us just enough room to look to his inside as we head down into turns 1 and 2. But we did bounce off the apron. That allowed the 95 to look to my inside, but we would be able to fight him off. And by the time we came to just 3 laps to go in this race, we still sat in the 10th position, but the car was fading at this point with the worn left side tires as we just had no speed. But at this point, I was all about playing defense mode as I knew the cars behind me were faster, but we only have 2 laps to go. So I'm going to hold them off the best I can so we can at least get a top 10 finish with just 2 laps to go now as we head down into turns 1 and 2. Harvick, Bowman, and Johnson behind me as they try to pass me down the back straightaway, and these points could be crucial going in to ISM Raceway in the next episode, so I'm doing everything I can to hold them off right now. And as we come through turns 3 and 4, still holding on to the position. I'm not sure if Keselowski is in the lead at this point. It might still be Martin Truex Jr. It would be better if it's Truex that wins this race, obviously, as Jimmy Johnson looks to the outside as we hit the white flag in Texas, trying our best to hang on to 10th as Bowman's going to force the 3 wide just about. And now as we come through turns 1 and 2, for the final time, Harvick closes in once again as we exit the corner down the back straightaway for the final time in Texas, running P10 as we come down through into turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Elliott up ahead in 9th. Harvick looking to my inside, but is not able to get down there as we come through turns 4 for the final time. We exit the corner through the tri-oval. We're going to hang on to get a 10th place finish in Texas, and it might not be enough to get us into a good position when it comes to the points, because Brad Keselowski may have won this race as we get to check the finishing order. We're hoping it's Truex, and unfortunately, Brad Keselowski wins in Texas. He wins stage 1, 2, and the race, putting us in a big hole now going into ISM Raceway, as we're definitely going to be out of the Final Four. It's just a matter now of how many points are we out as we get ready to see the points grid. There it is. Keselowski locks himself in. He shouldn't even be in the round right now, but he is, or in the Final Four right now, but he is. And we are 11 points out, and our teammate Kyle Larson is 10 points out. The good news is, we can point our way in still, but we're going to have to really treat it as we need to win. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, must-win situations for them. So we just have to worry about two drivers, and that's not Keselowski. It's Kyle Larson and the last car in the Final Four, which I believe might have been Clint Boyer, as we'll see once again in a moment. And Chase Elliott, he's guess not very happy, and we're going to provoke him, obviously. And Paul Menard, we're going to apologize to him, and Ross Chastain will provoke him as well. But if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Those would all be very appreciated. I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to watch one of my videos. I appreciate it a lot. And in the next episode, we will be deciding the 4 drivers that compete for a championship in the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. There you see Haley Deegan 4 points out, and we are 11 points out. We have to beat Kevin Harvick. So I will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have yourselves a great day. See you in ISM Raceway.